this episode of Cardinal Film Fights. I'm your host, judge, and moderator, Mark Rollins. Before I continue, I want to remind our viewers to like and retweet our promotional tweets for a chance to win a $10 AMC gift card. The way that works is it takes $10, whatever you purchase at an AMC. You purchase a muffler at an AMC, $10 off of that. You purchase a couch at... I've just been informed an AMC is a movie theater.
But you can buy alcohol at an AMC now.
Can you?
And you probably could buy someone's muffler outside and pay them in that AMC gift card.
Yeah.
There's probably a reason they're at the AMC.
Yes, it's true. But Stuart has just informed me that you can buy alcohol in an AMC. So remember, as long as you're 16 years old... I'm sorry, apparently the age is 21. Wow.
That's Spain.
Who knew? Yeah. Wow. You see, I don't really get out much, so learning new things every day.
Good movie.
Get Out. Oh yes, directed by
Jordan Peele.
Jordan Peele. Yes. You see, wow, missing all the pop culture references. No, just kidding.
Hey, what's
I
the
know
wrong
these
part?
things. I knew them all along. It's a joke. Anywho, today we have Stuart, Morgan, and Colin. They're gonna give their name, if that's applicable. They're going to give their year in college, if that's applicable. They're going to give their major, if that's applicable. And they're going to give a fun fact about themselves, if that's applicable. So we're going to start with Colin, go Morgan, and then Stuart.
I've been incarcerated for 3.5 years. In a couple weeks, I finally see freedom. And I don't play dumb.
And
That's it? Yep.
and for anyone, Colin Stites, econ major, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. Good to know that. So that's where the money went in our vetting process. Next up, we have Morgan.
Hello, everyone. I'm Morgan Fuller, and I'm a senior here at Ball State University studying TCOM. And I'm trying to figure out a fun fact about myself. I'm from Michigan.
The state?
It's always such a fun fact.
No, Michigan City.
The
state.
Michigan, the state.
Yes.
Oh, cool. Good to know that's
That's
still
it.
a thing.
Michigan, the
But
city
everyone
state.
here knows it. I'm going to say it again. Every day. I'm from Michigan. Super fun fact for everyone who didn't know that.
Our thoughts go out to you.
I mean, since there's only like 15 people that live in Michigan at any one time,
Yeah.
you're the reason that there isn't 16 people
And
in
Stuart!
Michigan.
Hey, folks. I'm Stuart. I am not a student here because I graduated in December, and I am a full-time working person. Major not applicable. Fun fact: I was a C-section.
Miracle
How
is-
has that affected your life today, Stuart?
It's made my head a little bit bigger because that's actually a real thing. Actually,
Really?
yeah. If you're a C-section, you have a big head.
like the metaphorical head, like the ego,
Both.
or okay.
Both.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Well, good for you. I must inform our watchers today that we won't be operating with all the bells and whistles we usually have. Literally, not all the bells. Our bell is broken, but Paige
And I stole the whistle.
and Colin stole the whistle, which I just now found out.
Leave 10 grand in an unmarked bag at the park at midnight. Thursday. Don't be late.
Are you saying this to our audience? Or?
Whoever has 10 grand and wants to see that whistle returned to its rightful owner.
But Paige will be counting time, and when the time goes off, she'll get my attention, which will then cue me to go ding like a bell. We have Vaughn over there checking facts. Oh, wait.
I can play a bell sound effect if you would like.
Well, there goes my
Are
job.
you ready? Here we go.
Oh,
Ha! My job is...
That's it.
Wait.
No,
One more
it's...
time. Third time's a charm.
it's Ball State. We
Here
fly
we
now,
are.
right?
Yeah, we
Yeah.
fly.
Ball State,
Yeah, that's it.
we fly. There's the bell.
There's the... Anywho,
Okay.
It's very
so
reliable.
thank you, Stuart, for sharing a little bit about your origin. with us. You know, because of your C-section birth.
That was really good.
Kind of reminds me. Yeah,
That was
yeah.
really good.
Fell right into my
Played
trap.
that right for you, man.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So, our question today was going to be best origin story regarding a superhero. As you can see, this is a superhero-themed episode. I'm wearing my Green Lantern tie. Get a close... No, you can't get a close-up on that. But it's there. Stuart is wearing his Jimmy Olsen shirt. That I imagine Jimmy Olsen, the newspaper guy's got a shirt like that. Morgan's wearing her Lois Lane attire. Colin's wearing
Style.
We all dressed up for the superhero show today. So, best origin story. We're going to start with Morgan with our 30-second introduction, as you all know is 60-second introduction, 5-minute form, 30-second conclusion. You know the deal. If you don't, watch one of our older episodes because we're running behind. I feel like I will start with Morgan. Go, Colin. Then Stuart. Go.
All right. For best origin story, I chose Captain America because I think that he's kind of a bit of a unique case in the origin story, as I feel like most characters come from, like, something bad happens to them in order to push them towards this, like, superhero characteristic or, you know, life. And I feel like Captain America was always just this really good kid that wanted to be, he didn't want to be a superhero. I guess he wanted more just to be someone that would help when he was needed, and he really wanted to join the army. And so he was just good all the way through, and I think that's a really important trait. And I just think he had a really good origin story with that, and I think it just goes to show just his character that he carries throughout all of the series. And I think he's one of the best Avengers in terms of morality and in terms of what a superhero actually is.
Next, we'll go to Colin.
Sodium.
Yeah, exactly. So,
'Cause it's
besides
bad.
that, it's not Batman. That's what you call a false lead. It's actually Spider-Man, Tugboat Tobey Maguire, probably the. If we're talking movies that are important and just the general canon of movie film history, the reboot sort of the entire desire to go see a summer blockbuster of the superhero variety, that goes to Spider-Man. The tragic death of his uncle and the wise words, you can't get much more iconic in the I mean, you can go Batman, but that's just what his power is. Wealth. No, we have a person with great power, and he has to learn great responsibility. He doesn't have any of it. He goes from nobody to somebody to being acquired by Fox and Disney.
And finally, Stuart.
In the wise words of Magneto, too long have I lived at the mercy of men just following orders. No longer. So Magneto is who I think not only just the most well-built, the best complex villain of any superhero franchise, but just like the most well-crafted villain that from once he started, whether you count him in like starting in the comic books or X-Men, the first movie to now, Magneto has always kept a very well-defined center in terms of what his motivation is. And not only is it that well concrete into what he's going after, but we understand every part of it. When you see that first scene in X-Men 1 or X-Men First Class in the Holocaust camps, you understand completely where he's coming from, where he's been through that persecution before of his own people. So now we go to X-Men 1 where we go, the first scene is them arguing whether mutants should be allowed in schools or not, which is a whole other reflection parallel into early like the gay rights movement or the civil rights movement, which brings into real life events which helped crafted this character. So you bring that and decide he's awesome.
Ding.
It's the best.
Okay, we're gonna go straight into our 5-minute forum.
Well, I'm gonna say this. If we're gonna talk about most well crafted in terms of the structure of what they are, in terms of their universe, Magneto rivals Joker in terms of maybe their importance as a villain within their respective universes. However, if we're talking about origin stories within a single movie, we have sort of the issue, I think maybe in Magneto's case, it's spread out over a couple of movies.
I mean, I could just pick First
But
Class.
I mean, but even in that case, I would say probably the best version of Magneto is First Class is good, but we see a lot more of this dynamics. And I think really addressing exactly how difficult it is dealing with the character of how great Magneto was crafted in the comics. Transitioning that into how you have to tell that in an X-Men movie is a little bit different. I think we've seen some of that. We get I believe Apocalypse. We get a pretty weird scene. Him.
That's a little bit after.
But I mean, but it's still we
It's
still
also
play
not
into
part of his origin
but
story.
we play into how we deal with the origins, especially how it's set up within the X-Men movie structure. And I think due to maybe sort of how difficult that subject matter is, they haven't been able to do it as drastically difficult as it. As
I really
believe
don't
it
think
needs
it's
to be
that
done.
difficult, because I think if you just look at First Class, I mean, First Class is like, well, it's one of the only good superhero prequels we have. And it deals with, it starts off right from the beginning. They filmed it exactly how it was filmed in X-Men 1 with the Holocaust camp, but then we actually go to the moment right after that happened. When we find out that not only did he endure such a horrific youth in his life of living in a Holocaust camp, but he was also experimented on, where his mom was shot in front of him because he had to, bend to the will of this mad scientist. When you include all those together and you go into what he's yearning for, just in X-Men First Class, that quote I said in the beginning is from X-Men First Class, when the US and the Soviet Union have all kind of joined forces against the mutants, and Charles Xavier says they're just following orders. And where have we heard that line before in real life, like in the war trials of the Holocaust camps? And so when you take that into effect, you understand completely the mindset that he's going through. You don't agree with his means, but you can't help but feel empathy, sympathy there for him. I think Spider-Man's a little bit difficult because I think it's good, but I don't think it's as good as mine. And that's really it's kind of, I'm not gonna say that's the best I got.
That's not, but I mean that's the whole point. We're talking in that case we're looking at a character whose backstory, at least when we look at the totality of it, is a really just give him his own movie at this point. X-Men First Class is good, but just seriously, just give us. We could treat this
We're gonna
almost.
talk about that later.
Yeah, we're going to talk about that later.
I
Exactly.
think-
But I think when we look at Spider-Man, and we look at Spider-Man 1 in particular, because they've been every Spider-Man reboot has to at some point incorporate that origin, and Spider-Man has not been properly done because they did it so well in the Spider-Man 2002 release.
Okay, there we go.
And let's
I was, well, I think the problem with both your guys' films, and why I just think out of all of these three that mine's kind of a better origin story, is the fact that a lot of superhero movies go with, here we have some people, and then something really bad happens to them in order to push them to be what they need to be. And I think by looking at Captain America, he was already what he needed to be before he became the big buff superhero man. I mean, he's a scrawny kid who can't get into the military and who goes in and jumps on a grenade that doesn't go off, but he does it to save everyone if he thought it was going to go off. And I just think he has those traits and those quality, before everybody else.
Well, the issue is with
Can
a
I add
character
something,
with that kind of style of origin story is that the beauty of Spider-Man's origin is he goes from you have to take a character who has none of these understanding of responsibility, of this hero.
If I can add something
heroicism.
with Captain America, I want to know how he got to the point where he was willing to throw his life on top of a grenade.
Yeah,
And I don't get that in Captain America.
And the thing is,
he's so ready, very noble, very has this proud patriotism that all he needed was just the growth hormones.
Yeah, exactly.
And and get the shield.
Yeah, there's very little there, and I think that's part of the beauty of an origin story, like what happens in Spider-Man, what happens in
First Class.
First Class, what happens in Batman, what happens in all these the tragedy. What we need here is we have someone who is learning, and I think Spider-Man nails it. We have a character who is a pizza boy, who is a terrible.
Here's what I've written down about Spider-Man. Kid gets powers. Kid uses powers for personal gain. Kid's uncle tells him to be careful. Kid isn't careful. Kid's uncle dies. Kid becomes hero. That's it.
Yeah, but they tell it in a way
that's-
that truly captures
Ding.
what it means to learn that responsibility.
Ding. Ding. Okay,
not.
and we're going to go into
It's
30-second
not.
conclusions. We'll start with Stuart, go Colin, and then Morgan.
Okay, so I think that Spider-Man, it's really hard because this is one of the very first ones that's been told in comic book history. So you have to really stay connected to it throughout your movies and your remakes, and therefore when it's been like overdone, I think the complexity of it, the uniqueness of his origin story is kind of like taking the toilet on that end, because we've all seen the uncle get shot, we've all seen like him use his web slingers for the first time. Magneto has this true origin where he begins from a place where he understands the persecution of his people, going from one time period to another, and knows the consequences of them.
Ooh. That was
Right
courtesy
on the
of
buzzer.
Paige. Yeah. Perfect. Perfect. And next to Colin.
So I think the whole point that we get to with Spider-Man is the fact that we have an origin where the person is irresponsible, has powers, and learns responsibility through them. It is a learning process, and it is and the whole reason I chose especially the 2002 film is because it was told so well in that. It's a very hard story to get right because you can call it simplistic, but there's a beauty in how it is executed. When we get to Magneto, it's a very complex one. It's a very difficult one to tell. When we get to Captain America, he's already gung-ho beforehand, so it doesn't really tell us how he gains any sort of responsibility in the origin.
And we'll finish up with Morgan.
Okay, I still think, you know, Captain America has the best origin story, and I don't think that you need that point to, like, see where he gets there. I think it's important that you already see he's there, and you see him grow even more into who he needs to be. And he was already at this point, but he grows even more, and he's the first Avenger. He's the first person that you see the morality of it. This is what America's about. This is what we wanted. This is the spur for the franchise. And I just think, like, Spider-Man, I mean, it's a story, it's like a love story, essentially. He's doing everything he does for a girl, and he tries to get money to, you know, buy her a car, and he still does stuff for Mary Jane, and I just don't think that that's a good origin story.
Any facts to check on?
I have a quote that I like to say, but I'll wait till after, really. Just because it's technically part of the argument, but I want you to roll first.
Oh,
Yeah, make your judgment
Yeah.
okay.
Put that in.
Sorry.
and make our lives more or less validated by your
Show's already gone
existence.
over pretty
That's
far.
what I.
So.
That's what I get paid for. Let's see.
There it is. You like everybody in the room do it.
I'm gonna give first place to Stuart, second place to Colin, and third place to Morgan. Stuart,
I have a quote.
yeah, go
It
ahead.
was like an argument I never made to like Captain America, but like Tony Stark said in Age of Ultron, I don't trust a man who doesn't have a dark side, and that's like something I completely think about with Captain America. Is I don't know what his vulnerabilities are. But
Well, I think you also get to the question of, well, he's too gung-ho. Well, that just leads to so many other
That was just my thing.
in-depth things
Yeah.
you could look at.
But before I give my rationale, I want to take a moment to appreciate the stellar dialogue in Spider-Man, the 2002 movie. Let's not forget, this is a movie where Green Goblin says, "Are you so Spidey? Are you in or are you out?" And Spider-Man says, "It's you who's out, Gobby. Out of your mind." And then Goblin goes, "Wrong answer."
actually, the scene with
Yeah.
like Mary Jane's like holding Spider-Man while they're in like after he saved her, she's holding onto a mannequin, and it's so obvious it's
I mean,
happening.
the quality of the film is it's the first real attempt to
It's a
do
question
a
altogether.
great superhero movie, and they have not done Spider-Man any better besides maybe the Spider-Man 2.
You already know who I am. Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man.
It's like, you know, I'm a bit of a scientist myself. Just
That's right.
re-
Shut up.
Talk
do
about
yourself
Tobey
a
Maguire.
favor, rewatch that movie because the dialogue is so much better than you remembered it in the two.
Just the third one.
Gave
Anywho.
birth to a really great villain, Dr. Octavius. in
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
exactly.
Yeah, that
And you-
made Spider-Man
you-
2 is
yeah.
better.
Well, Spider-Man 1 is set the groundwork. It also, we wouldn't really have that kind of summer blockbuster superhero movie.
And
if-
no!
Sorry. I have to give my rationale though. So, Stuart, I'm giving you first place because I think you made a great point that Magneto's origin has greater implications than himself, and that makes it easy for us to like understand where he's coming from in terms of like our own national movements in politics and feelings. Like that quote you gave where it's like, too often.
Too long have I lived at the mercy of men just following orders.
Exactly. It's like, ooh, that hits hard. Colin, I'm giving you second place because I think yours demonstrated like an origin story that definitely works. You know, it's like you don't understand responsibility. You're given these powers, and through these powers, you and sacrifice, you learn to understand responsibility. I think Spider-Man truly exemplifies the with great power comes great responsibility archetype that continues to work. And Morgan, I have to side with Stuart and Colin. It's just it is a little disconcerting that it's like Captain America just went in already like perfect, and then you add the hormones, and now he's just extra perfect. And so it's just I do wish there was like just a little bit more in that origin story. So for this round, first place goes to Stuart, second place Colin, third place Morgan. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Cardinal Film Fights. Remember to like, subscribe, and retweet our stuff. If you retweet and like our tweets, you may have a chance to win a $10 AMC gift card. I'm Mark Rollins. This is Cardinal Film Fights.